Go ahead and call our meeting to order, the November 1st Monday meeting of the Allegheny County Board of Commissioners. I'd like to welcome everybody here. If you would, all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask Brother Tim Anders for the invocation, please.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this gathering, Lord. Lord, I ask you, Lord, to bless everyone here and help us, Lord God, to make wise decisions. And we just give you thanks for this time and this opportunity. And again, we lift up your name. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Thank you, sir. Changes, is it, Ray? No changes to the agenda. Need a motion to approve.
Second.
So move and second. All in favor? 5-0. This time we'll open the floor for public comment. Anyone having anything to say, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close public comment time. Move on down. We're going to open the floor for a public hearing on Allegheny motion. We've got 3 grants to approve. We're going to do them individually. So, Tiffany, if you would.
Afternoon. I'm here today for 3 public hearings and requesting approval on 3 grant applications. The first is the 5311 Administration Grant. This grant covers administrative salaries, fringe benefits, and marketing. The total amount is $109,361, and $16,405 of that is local funds.
Any questions? Need a motion for that?
So vote in public hearing, can we?
You're in your public hearing right now.
Close the public.
I'm sorry. We're going to close the public hearing this time. Now
The administrative grant?
Right. I hear a motion.
Motion to approve, sir.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor? 5-0.
Second is our 50.
No.
Oh, sorry.
I want to open the public hearing again for another grant. Go ahead.
Our second is for a capital grant. This grant is for 1 replacement LTV and 2 replacement computers. The total amount is $73,890, and $7,389 of that would be local funds.
Close the hearing this time.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Here a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Open the floor for public hearing again.
Our third is our 5310 grant. This is for the elderly and disabled operating. This is what we refer to as our ED grant. It covers $1 for the elderly and disabled for Allegheny County citizens to go anywhere for $1 per stop. The total of this grant is $20,000 and local match is $10,000.
We'll close the public hearing. You hear a motion?
So move.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor? 5-0. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next is a presentation of the board. Mr. David Daniels, R&D.
Evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. And I want to thank the county commissioners and also the county manager, assistant manager, and the attorney to trusting this study to us. You know, architects like to talk a long time. I saw the agenda that said you're going to be out of here by 7:10, so I'm going to cut it real short. But anyway, thank you again.
That would be a first.
That's right. That would be a first. We have a reputation. Again, thank you. September 14th, we visited the site, and we crawled around the building, looked at crevices, looked at the outside, inside, Measured the building also to give the county a starting point, because we were not aware of any drawings. And we took a look at mostly the addition, but we also analyzed the existing building. Some of the historical background that we talked about in the presentation was very interesting. The building's well built, the original building, not so much for the addition, unfortunately. So we did find some problems that made us come to the conclusion, the recommendation that we have made here. To recap, that we have option 1, 2, and 3 on the table. Option 1 was to tear down the addition and then replace the facade with something new or something that matched the original. Option 2 was to rebuild, so basically tear down the addition and then rebuild it to similar. And then option 3 was to repair the addition. Repairing it, we did not believe was going to be feasible after what we saw. And some of the photographs in the back, I think we could certainly speak to, but some of the construction was suspect, and some of the sizing of members was much less than what we would expect currently in current construction. And the attachment, that was the biggest thing. It doesn't matter what you actually have on the floor. If it's not attached to the building or not supported properly on the front facade, then we're going to expect future problems on this facility. So again, looking at the 3 options, we recommended option 1, and most of that was due to cost. We do have a fairly detailed cost estimate at this level for what we think it's going to cost. Option 1 was $265,000 to remove it and then replace it with a landscape destination point for the front entry of the building, make the front accessible, and also increase the aesthetic appeal of the front. And option 2 came in at about $740,000, because basically we would be rebuilding the exact same structure and similar footprint, but we could certainly look at different arrangement of space and different arrangement of storage for that. And then option 3, as I said, was repairing it, and we had hoped that that would be an option because we thought it could be a good cost savings between the first and the second option. However, after seeing what we saw and not being able to confirm exactly the construction, we think that if this option was pursued, it may run into additional costs, which would be unexpected, and then always finding money for something is difficult, as we see with other clients. Is if we tell you it's going to cost one thing and it comes in at 50% more, it's just a strain on someone else's budget because money has to be moved. So did not recommend that option, but I'm glad to answer any questions again on the report, and the pictures in the back kind of detail, and I apologize, I should have had you tell you which exact pictures, but there's a couple that, with the steel beam that holds the brick in the front, we cannot tell that it's actually attached to the columns. It's sitting on the columns. Looks like it has a hole where a bolt should have been, but it doesn't have any positive attachment unless there's a method of welding a stud to that we were not able to see. But again, the original building's in pretty good shape. We were surprised to see the difference of the 1955 construction and sometimes in the 70s era construction of the damage that was occurring. And going back, and here's the part where the architect likes to talk. I apologize. But go ahead if you got any questions.
Well, for the education of the public, would you please let us go to that picture that you were talking about?
Be glad to. And I can, Drew, I can try to give you the page number. Mark it in mine. So it starts on page 49 or 59. This is the steel beam that is in the front. So if I can, I'll just approach this. Can everyone hear okay?
There is a laser pointer up there if you'd like it, sir.
Okay. Perfect. So, yeah, here, perfect. That's it. So what we have here is the steel I-beam that's carrying the brick above, and this is from the inside. And so here, what you see is the masonry columns that are on the front facade. The steel is lapped over the columns, so we've got individual pieces of steel, I apologize, that carry the load of the openings. However, typically there's a hole here and a hole here in the beam, and you'd like to see a lag bolt that's cast into that concrete. We don't see that. We looked at the possibility that is on the outside, but that's actually where the brick is held. So more than likely there is no positive attachment of this, and that beam can move, and that beam could actually fall over if there was an event. And then it's not laterally restrained at any point. So unfortunately, something like this, this tall has the ability to fall over, even if it has a brick veneer on it that's, some type of lateral resistant forces. But this is one of the ones that concern us the most. And then if you move to the next page, you'll see the wood construction, which we found out that the wood construction was slightly less than a 2x10. It was actually a 9-inch nominal, which I haven't seen. So it could have been milled locally, and that's possible. But this was encouraging. We saw this. This is the rim joist back looking towards the old building. We saw a bolt there, so it's like, we started thumbs up. This is looking better. Go to the next slide. Thank you, Drew. I'm sorry, that's maybe maybe one more. I may have oh, here we go. So that's the other side of that lag bolt. So what we see here is the lag bolt was compression actually broke that 2x10. So the 2x10 was placed on the inside between the studs. These are the vertical studs here, and the 2x10 was supposed to carry that load. And then we have a 1x washer, which is an innovative approach, but we've never used. But so what you can see here is damage, and we don't know if that damage occurred the day they tightened that bolt or if that damage occurred during the earthquake. But
There's no mechanical
attachment.
No mechanical attachment at all.
Yes, sir. No mechanical attachment. That was what was most concerning to us, because at any point we feel that structure could actually pull away from if the lateral forces were applied in the right direction, which unfortunately we can't determine when an earthquake event happens, which way that building will move. And this was unfortunately typical throughout every connection point. Typically these are 32 inches on center. I think that's what we saw. What we also see here is an HVAC duct. So my understanding we did quite a bit of historical research. My understanding is this was built by the owner of the funeral home as an apartment sometime in the 70s. And then when the county took over, they turned it into an office building, and then they occupied it for offices and storage. At that point, we believe the HVAC was extended into the space, and holes were opened so they could actually use the building as, instead of two separate spaces, one contiguous space. So I think the next slide, Drew, might have, yes, so you can see the HVAC duct was cut in, and then they basically cut some of the existing structure of the original building to extend the ductwork through. And then the next one, this is another one. So this is the original brick, and they did the same thing. This is from the other side. So the brick was just busted through without a lintel, although we're only carrying 2 courses. But that unfortunately also is carrying the floor. I'm sorry, the roof above. And so we think that, and again, the attachment here, there's no real ledger board. It's sitting on the brick veneer, and then it's also I guess not sure, like a plinth or a base on that. It's no mechanical attachment we could tell. So it's unfortunate that our recommendation would be to lose space. Of course, I know you guys would like to capture that space or use it. However, we did take a look at the building as walking through. We believe that there's opportunity to incorporate the 2 offices and the storage back into that building if there's some creative use of, and we did provide a cost estimate for that, but that would be for a renovation. I think that that cost could be saved, and just storage could be cleaned out and purged, and then an office could be created. There's a storage room on the 2nd floor that looks to me that it could possibly create 2 offices if need be, and that would take care of the offset of the 2 offices that we lost. So be glad to.
Could you show the out of plumb on the floor, please?
Floor, yeah, I think that's back, Drew. That's the one that the level. There you go. Yeah, so this is a 4-foot level that we brought with us, and this is the ground floor looking right outside of the main entry. So that bubble is at least half out, and we consistently saw 1.5 inches of settlement throughout the building, and that was basically the brick coursing that should line up was dropped 1.5 inches. The stoop outside to the left of the building, if you're looking at the front, was about 1.5 inches drop also. And then as you go up the steel stairway, we call it stair number 2, which was the new stair that was put in when the county occupied the building, that looks like the baseboard has dropped about 1.5 inches also. And then I didn't take the most telling picture. I wish I had 2 levels at the time, because upstairs we actually have 1.5 inches going this way and 1.5 inches going this way in the same 8 feet span. So we've got the building moving this way and then also dipping down. So it's pretty dramatic. It's pretty dramatic. So that was part of our recommendation, that we did not want anybody occupying it. And the structural engineer had affirmed that and brought that to the attention of the board, and I think that's why it was roped off. And I think, well, it needed to be, unfortunately, but.
Bobby?
What is your gut feeling about the safety right now of the building?
Gut feeling would be that since we can't predict the next geological event, that anyone in there would, in my opinion, would be subject to a catastrophic event if they were housed in that space. If the county were to say, yes, we want you to occupy that office, I believe there'd be a risk that, in my opinion, would not be advisable as a professional.
The question, Mark?
Just to clarify that, everything you're talking about being potentially unsafe is the front portion of this
Correct.
building.
Yes, sir. That's
From there
correct.
back,
From there back, we did not
the
see.
integrity is,
That's right. The integrity that we could tell, we did not see cracking through the brick veneer, which would be telltale. We did not see structural elements that were incorrectly fastened. The structure of that building is steel with steel posts and masonry from the basement level, which I think is called level 1 in the space because the elevator goes 1, 2, 3. And then from there, masonry to level 1 or level 2, then steel up and wood framing. Everything, in our opinion, looked sound, and we have no concern about that property as it exists today. Again, unfortunately, another event that comes through that may be a larger magnitude could have impact to that structure that we're not able to predict, but we do not have any concern of the main structure, the 1955 structure at this time. Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Mr. Carter?
Don't mind, just a couple things. First of all, I don't know. If you look at this report, I just want to say this to start with. By far, since I've been here, the best put together report.
Stealing my words.
You had your chance.
Best report I've ever read.
Okay, they're
that's
his
come
words.
through here.
Let's take, he got that.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. I will have to apologize. After I sent it to you in the draft form, I gave it to the gentleman who accompanied me to the building on the September 14th, and he's almost a editor, and so I've got about 50 corrections that he told me I need to make. So I will do that for the final form. But I appreciate those words very much. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I won't take it again. But as far as a working relationship, I want to tell you top-notch. Top-notch group, top-notch representation. What I'd like just to hit on for just a minute, I know a section of it dealt with the core drilling.
Yes.
And there really wasn't a lot of discussion about that, but
Right.
could we expand on that just a little
No,
bit?
great point, Mr. Carter. So we did employ Kessel Engineering out of Mooresville, and they came up and they did 2 core drills or 2 investigation drills, one on either side of the building. And what they found there was that it was built, as suspected, it was built on uncontrolled fill, which basically meant that when that building was originally built, they laid the soil back to build that foundation wall, and then at some point, they filled it, pushed the dirt back in, and they did not compact it well enough to build a new building on. And then 20 years later, somebody says, let's build a building here. They didn't address it at that point. There was also some, and you've seen in some of the pictures, and you also see as you walk outside, there's at some point in the early, late 90s or no, 2019, I apologize, the Ramjack came in and they attempted to bring this building back into level state. Unfortunately, when those piers go down, I think they said that they ran into a cost overrun at 60 feet down. So they were not getting bearable material at 60 feet down, which we were a little suspect on. And the report basically said 6 feet on one side and 9 on the other, that they could find bearing soil. But what that means would be that if we were to rebuild it, we would be removing that much soil or augmenting that soil at a cost for the county to then rebuild back on top of that. So they did provide some solutions in case the county's decision was to build on top. Unfortunately, those solutions are very costly. You know, there's augmentation of the soil, or the other option is to remove it and then replace it with stone fill. That's probably the cheapest option, the most tried and true option, but then again, it still has a cost. You've got to get rid of the soil, you've got to dig down, and once you start opening the can of worms of digging that foundation, we don't know what the construction was to the original facade that would then, need to be shored or need to be braced to provide a safe condition for the rest of the building as it was done. So that is also a consideration that you, with any of the options is, we don't really have a great idea of what brick was removed and how it was supported when this new building was added on and then when the county occupied it. So we do have that factored into the cost estimate for a general contractor to shore the existing facade when the demolition is occurring on either option. So to provide a safe occupied building at the point. But there will be, unfortunately, some time when the meeting room would not be in use because of egress restrictions once a construction project was undertaken. But no, good point. Thank you. Engineers, I don't know if, hope there's no engineers in the room, but engineers and architects like to butt heads over things, and engineers they say they can do anything, but it also has a cost. So I like to temper that by saying, yes, we could do that, but I think it may not be the best practical solution for this instance.
So the next thing that I would mention is there will be a final undrafted report.
Correct. That's right. Yes, that would be, and if there's any questions, or I'll be glad to incorporate any of the discussion here in this, but I will be making those 50 grammatical error corrections that Steve pointed out to me after I sent that, and hopefully you didn't catch all of those. But and yes, I will address a final report that will be issued without the draft on it.
The reason I bring that up is of course this board has a few choices to think about and some options and this or that, but irregardless of that direction, in whichever method that is taken, I would just like to go on the record telling the Board of Commissioners that I'd certainly want this individual and his firm representing us moving forward with this project once it becomes a consideration.
We appreciate that, and we would be interested in the project because this is what we do. We're a renovation firm. We have done new buildings, and we do new buildings for clients, but I'd say 85% of our work is renovation and hands-on nuts and bolts kind of things like this. So I appreciate those words.
Are you finished, Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir.
We get reports every month, several reports. This one was easy to read. It was one of those that I couldn't put it down because I enjoyed reading it. There was a lot of history, and you went into great detail what was wrong with the building. And then I appreciate your words tonight about the safety of the building, and I think that puts a little bit of pressure on us to get this project going, because I don't want anybody to get hurt.
We share that sentiment. That's the number one thing that we do is protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public as an architect. And that's what my seal says, that I will support and stand for that. So I appreciate that. And unfortunately, like you said, with this report, it does kind of, give you guys more of a emphasis on and making an action. But that was our intent, was to inform you and allow you to do that. So we certainly appreciate the kind words that you've mentioned, and we would be interested if it goes to a project for certain. But thank you.
Further comments? It was a very good report, very easy to understand.
Thank you very much.
We certainly appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your presentation.
Safe travels.
Earthquake update, Mr. Dana Phillips.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here today. I've known David for, 10 plus years at least. I'd say at least 10 years, and that's probably about the least he has spoken before. So David, great job, man. Just want to give you guys a quick update on what we're going on for earthquake recovery. I want to start off by saying this. Back in August, we had the little 1-year anniversary from the earthquake, but when you really get down to it, we really got our office off the ground and running November 1st. That's when we moved into BDC. So happy anniversary to the earthquake recovery folks for being here actually in Sparta and in place. So just want to give you a little bit of an update. So far, we've received a total of 258 residential applications in our system. That's 258 residential applications. Since we started, 130 of those projects are marked as complete. So when we talk about being marked as complete, that means the project is 100% complete, or it has been fully funded by our office. So it's either fully funded or complete. So we're real excited about that. Again, 130 are currently marked as complete. Of the 130, 122 of those are in Allegheny County. So you can see the lion's share is right here in Allegheny County, okay? We have 113 active projects. And what we mean by active is they're not fully funded, and we're still working on those. Of those 113, 62 have already had partial payments made, meaning that's a project that's underway, it's just not closed out. So we're sitting right now with 51 projects that we call in process. And these 51, we're either waiting for somebody to get us some more documentation, we're waiting for some estimates, or we're waiting the time to get me or Rex or Rich or somebody from our team out there to do a quick site visit. But only 51 projects right now remain where we're still in the active process. I will say this, unfortunately, we're still getting new applicants. I say that because there's still damage out there. And I want to encourage anyone who may be watching tonight or listening, or you may know of some neighbors or relatives, please, if they have earthquake damage, send them to us. We'd love to help them. We've written checks for over $4.1 million in residential repairs. Over $4.1 in residential repairs. Couple of things I'm real proud to announce. Just last week, we got our first 2 certificate of occupancy for rebuilds on Deer Haven. So we've had 2 families that are going back home again. That's fantastic. We have 2 other homes that are going to be completed within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're in the final stages of those, so that'll be 2 more families coming in. We've had 1 mobile home unit replacement that's already complete, and a second one that's underway right now. Matter of fact, if you've driven by the fairgrounds lately, you probably saw it sitting out there. And you may have been asked, hey, what's that doing out there? I've been asked it more than once myself, but we're in the process of getting that mobile home unit to its permanent location here very soon. This afternoon, we tore down another house on Deer Haven. So if you go through Deer Haven, you'll see one on the ground already. I was looking around to see if my buddy David Spicer was here today, so I was going to let him know that AJ made pretty quick work of that house today, and I think he already called the transfer station to let them know another house is coming the way up there. So we've already notified everybody to let them know it's coming. Our team, we're continuing to work on major projects. We have several more major projects in the work, and that's involving what could be rebuilds or demolitions of homes. And I'll share more information about those homes as I can. Those are things that we're just currently still working on. I do want to give a special heartfelt thank you to the contractors in this area. Without our contractors, we couldn't make this happen. We've done a lot of good things for a lot of folks, and I'll tell you, the local contractors have stepped up, especially the last several months. They have really stepped up. They care about the citizens of Allegheny County. They want to help each other. So we could not make any of this happen without our local contractors. A couple other things I want to mention real quick. In addition to the residential repairs, we have grants. We have a grant with Allegheny County. I'm sure you guys are all aware of the grant, and I enjoy working with the county manager and his team on getting everything we can do there to help with our grant. We have a grant with the town of Sparta, doing similar things with the town. And we also have a grant with the Allegheny County Schools. We've done quite a bit with the school system, and we're looking to continue to help all of those areas anytime we can. Anything that's earthquake related, we certainly want to reach out and help. And again, the last thing I want to mention before I open it up for any kind of questions is the staff from Allegheny County has been absolutely a pleasure to work with. Everyone, I don't want to single anyone out, but it's just absolutely incredible. Everywhere I go through the building, anyone I talk to, folks, they bend over backwards to help, and they care. And I just want to commend the Allegheny County staff. County manager, Mr. Carter, does a fantastic job of leading this, and we're proud to be part of the team that's making a difference in the lives of your citizens. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Questions? I'd just like to commend you guys. I've heard a lot of good words and a lot of happy people, and this is a great success story right here, and you've done a super job. We appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. It's been our pleasure, and we look forward to continuing this relationship.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Dana.
Very much.
This time, we got a request for a closed session, General Statute 143-318.11-A/3, consult with attorney.
I will make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion, second. All in favor? We'll move to the
It
side
won't be
room.
long. Okay, ma'am.
Everybody ready?
Politicians
I am.
and attorney. Small room and a politician
Yes,
and
sir.
attorney. Temperature rose.
Come out of closed session, no action taken. We'll open up a regular meeting. Move down to general business, telephone, internet bids.
Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the lowest bid for the telephone, internet/internet bids under General Statute 143-29, subparagraph B, and General Statute 143-131, subparagraph A, subparagraph 3, to Ideacom.
A motion to award the contract under the general statute of North Carolina to Ideacom. Do we have a second? Bobby second? Bobby seconds. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think, we don't have a contract at this point. That's final. I see a contract. And
They're not-
one big concern I have with it is
They're accepting the
Clearly
bids. We aren't doing a
demonstrated.
contract.
Mr. Chairman, I think I have the floor.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Was clearly demonstrated by Ideacom that they had some kind of problem porting numbers, and I'm concerned that we will not have to change all of our county numbers. There's some wording in the contract to this point that speaks to that, but it's not final. They haven't reviewed, as I understand it, from their end, and it's not final on our end. So for that reason, I do not favor taking action tonight.
Any further discussion, John?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point out that we are accepting bids. We are not negotiating a contract at this time. Not only that, our request for bid did not stipulate in the RFP that there would be a transfer of phone numbers. Now, the bids were submitted in accordance with the request of the RFP. They have met those requirements. All we are doing is accepting the bid. No action will be taken until a contract is signed. And if you want to get down to brass tacks, Ideacom doesn't need to negotiate with us until they know that we have accepted their bid. No action is going to be taken, nothing's going to be done until the bid is satisfied and signed. Now, general business is telephone and internet bids. I made the motion that we accept under the general statutes. Call the question.
Any other comments? All in favor of Ideacom, raise your hand. 2. Passes. All opposed? Noes. Motion fails. Moving on down. Granite Creek Fire Department, Mr. Larry Adams.
Good evening, everybody. Glad to be here. I think it's 7:09, and I think we got to 7:10 to get out of here. So I think in your packet, there's some information there. So I'm here to request funds from last year's contingency money. I think it was from the budget year 2021. There's receipts that we had some repair work done on a pumper truck. Some of it was very unexpected. Some of it was sort of expected. The bills have been paid last week. I think the total is $22,165.45. Excuse me.
$22,165.45. So the Board of Directors at Piney Creek met a couple weeks ago and asked me to come. I think it was 8-0 for me to be here to ask for that money. They asked if we could get it all. Currently, I only have receipts for the $22,165.45, so I think there's about $27,000 left in that fund. So it's certainly y'all's discretion what you do. So
I want to recuse myself from voting right here, as I'm on the board of directors at Piney Creek Fire Department. So, any discussion, comments here, questions?
Just got a question for April. What is left in the fund is? Okay.
27.8, I believe. 27.8.
yeah, we think 27.8 is the balance remaining from last year, or last budget year, let me say it that way.
Okay. Any discussion? Hear a motion?
I make a motion that we stated.
22,165. Got a motion and a second on the 22,165. That's what you've got receipts for.
It's receipts that's in y'all's packet, correct?
Right. Okay, that'll leave about 5,000, a little lower. Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Be 4. I knew you was in favor.
Yes, I voted in favor.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
Okay, thank you very much. Come by and look at the new building when you get time.
Okay, next we have a High Country RPO Transportation Committee appointment. I've been on that committee, and could stay on that committee unless somebody else wants it.
Motion to renominate Chairman Bill Osborne to the committee, sir.
And then,
Motion and a second, all in favor? Earthquake Fund Budget Amendment. Is April Ham, Finance Director.
Good evening.
Steve?
You have a budget amendment in your packet for the earthquake fund. This is actually insurance proceed money that we received last fiscal year, but the repairs were not done to this fiscal year. The only money that was spent was out of some of the courthouse insurance proceeds, and the $4,099 is what's left out of those insurance proceeds.
Motion to
So
approve, Mr. Chair.
total budget amendment is $57,230.
Got a motion, do I hear a second? Motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor? I vote.
The other one that you have in your packet is actually creating a new fund for fines and forts. This is revenue that flows through the court system that actually flows through to the Board of Education, and it needs to be set up in a separate fund per new general statute requirements.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. For the propane bid,
We had the bid on Friday afternoon.
really.
Propane is one.
Okay.
or Blue Ridge Energy.
A motion here, a second.
Second.
Motion for Blue Ridge Energy, the lowest bid there. Any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0.
been here. All three.
What's the feeling of the board there?
Legal opinion, please.
The RFP that was issued does not say that these would be split. It's combined. So if you wanted it to be split, then the RFP is going to have to be different. So
Making my point
that
on
you,
another matter.
yeah, so on this one, you would have to change the RFP so that it says something about it could be combined or split, so that then the bidders would understand that's the difference in it. So for now, it does not say that. And since historically it has been together and it doesn't say that it would be split, I think you're still subject to keeping that together. Now, going forward, if you want it to be split and maybe considered separately, just mention that, and then that way it could be, you could pick and choose what you were going to do in regards to each of these services.
So, where do we want to go with this?
One of these there. I would
A motion to go with hometown? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor? 5-0. Next, Recreation Commission minutes. Commissioner Michelle Leffman.
Met on Monday, October the 25th at 4 p.m. And all the commissioners, Mr. Carter, Drew Todd, and Brian Edwards. Mr. Carter opened the meeting and asked for nominations for the chairperson. I was nominated and elected as the chairperson with a vote of 5-0. I then presided over the meeting, and at this time, Commissioner John Irwin made a motion to transfer the current property into the Recreation Commission's name to the County of Allegheny, with the condition that the county provide all necessary legal services to complete such transfer. The motion was seconded by Commissioner Bobby Irwin, and after discussion, the motion was passed unanimously by a vote 5-0. Next, Commissioner John Irwin, made a motion to recommend that the Allegheny County Board of Commissioners to consider the Allegheny County Recreation Commission's request to disband the Recreation Commission upon the completion of the transfer of land discussed previously, and all legal services to complete such transfer of land have been completed. Recreation Commission member Bill Osborne seconded that motion, and after discussion, the motion passed unanimously by a vote of 5-0. With no other business to conduct, I then adjourned the meeting, and the Recreation Commission was officially disbanded.
Discussion about that on the Recreation Committee.
just clarification, I mean, the disbanding wouldn't take place until
That's right. Move on down to Recreation Commission property transfer, County Attorney Heather Klein.
We can accomplish this with a deed, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, so it would just say that the commission is transferring the property. The commission is part of the county, but it's actually its own entity for
our purposes here, was appointed by the commissioners. So the committee will actually transfer the property over to the county, and then the county can thereafter make the determination as to what to do with the property.
Discussion about that?
Make a comment.
Yes, sir.
Intentions of the Board of Commissioners to direct our attorney to proceed with that?
I would make a motion in that regard, if that's what you're looking for.
Motion to hear a second. Motion and a second. All, any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Moving on down to Insurance Committee minutes. Commissioner Bobby Irwin.
Okay, the Allegheny Insurance Committee met October 28th at 4 p.m. for our first meeting. Our second meeting was October 26th at 3:30 p.m. Members present: Bobby Irwin, Michelle Luffman, Michael Carter, April Ham, and Drew Todd. Meetings were both called to order by Committee Chairman Bobby Irwin at the time listed above. The first item of business was an introduction and overview of the North Carolina Health Insurance Pool that Allegheny County is a member of. The discussion started with a brief introduction of what the North Carolina Health Insurance Pool offers to its members and how Allegheny County became an active member of the pool. Next item was discussed regarding the review of costs associated with all health, dental, vision, and Medicare supplement insurance currently being offered or provided to full-time employees of Allegheny County through the benefits portion of their employment. Further discussion included identifying the overall cost to the county for health-related insurance only in the current budget to be approximately $1,503,011. The cost results in just over 8.5% of the overall adopted budget for the general fund, of overall budget of $17,521,537. The remaining insurance the county has includes property and liability insurance, which is budgeted at $105,000, and workers' compensation at $96,000, combining for a total of $201,000 for the two. In total, the health-related property liability insurance and workmen's compensation totals $1,704,011, or just over 9.7% of the adopted general budget of $17,521,537. The third item was a brief overview of the reserve fund that Allegheny County has as a contributing member to the insurance pools. Plans are in place to begin utilizing a portion of these funds. Next, the committee discussed the available health plans through the pool, the number of employees who participate in the pool, and the options offered to participating members. The last item of discussion involved retirement and insurance benefits that are offered through the Allegheny County personnel policy and the impact moving forward of those benefits. The committee will meet again after the beginning of the new calendar year to begin review and discussion of upcoming renewals and costs associated with the program. And the minutes were recorded by County Manager Michael Carter. That ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Questions? Down to County Manager comments.
Chairman, I don't have but a couple, and they all revolve around committee dates. The first one, I think, is we have discussed having a nominations committee sometime between this meeting and the mid-month meeting. And I believe that is Commissioner John Irwin and Commissioner Bill Osborne. So I would ask that you all figure out a suitable date and time and allow that meeting to occur so that we can address some of these appointments that are upcoming. The second one is the Emergency Communications Committee, which I again believe is Chairman Bill Osborne and John Irwin, Commissioner John Irwin. I know that Daniel Roten had been appointed the chair of that committee, but I do believe the emphasis should be on keeping that committee active, and I will, with the board's approval, speak with Daniel and find some appropriate times for that as well. And the third, since we were talking about the property from the Recreation Commission, we also have a Recreation Committee. And I believe once the necessary legal work has been conducted by our attorney and the proper procedures that fall in line with the motions made earlier, I then think that is the opportunity for that committee to get together, which I believe is Commissioner Bobby Irwin and Commissioner Michelle Luffman, to begin talking about plans for that potential property. That's all I have.
Just set a date tonight for the nominating committee.
Can't set a date until I can get to my day planner.
Just let me know. I'm very flexible. Next up to County Commissioner comments. Mr. John Irwin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In recent weeks, there has been a letter to the editor that was published in the Allegheny News that the public was aware of the Lions Club and their status on the Lions Club. What the public did not see was an email that was sent to the individual commissioners, which basically finished up by asserting that we were communist. I dare you to say that in front of my face. Bobby and I are both combat Marines. We lost friends fighting communists. If you got the guts to stand in front of me and tell me that, you got the guts, I'm going to make your wife happy for about a week. Now, we have been advised by counsel that the only way that we could resolve the matter with the property, better known as the Sam Brown's Mountain property, the Lions Club property, and the tennis court, the swimming pool, after she had consulted with counsel outside the county, the title company, if I remember correctly, and she was advised that this was the best way that we could take care of this matter. In 1967, whenever this committee was formed, and in 1971, whenever they purchased the property with the proceeds from a grant and apparently from proceeds raised by the Lions Club, that property was placed in, the title was placed in the name of Allegheny County Parks and Recreation Committee. That could not happen because it was not incorporated, and only individuals and a legal entity, of which a corporation is a legal entity, can own property. Now, the problem that we faced whenever it was discovered is, how do we rectify this situation? We followed legal counsel's recommendations to appoint ourselves to the commission, since there was only one committee member that was alive, and we were not able to contact that one committee member, and that wouldn't have been a majority, so they couldn't have had a vote by the board to transfer So this is the way that we have done it. Too often, I jump to conclusions. As a matter of fact, I don't exercise anymore because I get it jumping to conclusions. But apparently, some individuals felt that we were riding roughshod. Now, once we have transferred the property into the county's name, taken title, then the discussion will begin on what we are going to do with that certain portion of the property, better known as the Lions Club Pavilion. We have looked at that. We looked at it as possible dispatch location. County manager advised us, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you were in consult with the leadership of the Lions Club whenever you were discussing that. Were you not, sir?
We had a meeting right inside this room.
That meeting was inside this room with the elected officials of the Lions Club. Now, if they did not pass that to their membership, what was going on, we cannot control that. We have tried to do everything above board. We have done everything out in the open. We filmed this. Any of us that are asked, we will be glad to make comments on it. We are not trying to hide anything, nor are we trying to take anything from anyone. I am well aware of the tremendous amount of work and civil projects that the Lions Club has done for this county. And we want to work with them. But believe me, whenever you start poisoning the waters, that's not the way to go, especially calling someone a communist. So let's cool down a little bit. Let us get through the process, and then we, in the open, will cuss and we will discuss that portion of the property, and I'm sure that we can come to a satisfactory agreement. But until you know the facts, please do not conjecture. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Michelle?
I want to say, I just want to echo the sentiments that we're not trying to kick the Lions Club out of the Lions Club building. This was all just a way to make the deed correct, and we love the Lions Club, and we have every intention of working with them. And I understand that being a county commissioner will sometimes get you some names called, and that's okay as long as I deserve it. But I don't think crook falls under one of those. So we're trying to be all above board about this, and we're just trying to correct something legally in the deed office. Next thing I'd like to say is I would like to say kudos to the Chamber of Commerce yesterday for the Trunk or Treat event. Lisa and her staff did a marvelous job. There was the turnout was unreal yesterday. I think that we were told that our census numbers were down. I don't see how that is even possible because of all the children that we saw yesterday. Maybe they need to take the census again. But anyway, it was a good time for all, and it was a great sense of community, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Michelle. Mr. Mark, Chairman, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Mark.
I would say as far as the Lions Club goes, that property was in a name that legally the county it had to be fixed. I personally have absolutely no intention of displacing the Lions Club. They've done a lot, and I'm sure they'll do a lot. A little bit of information in the wrong place. We had school presentations come, and everything has been all mixed up into one bucket. So, give us a little bit of time. I'm sure we'll do the right thing. But I would just reiterate, I'm not in favor of kicking them out or removing the Sparta Lions Club. And in regards to the email, the one biggest thing that I really take offense with, I know some of the name callings and things happen whenever emotions run high. But do not pretend to know what my thinking is unless you've had a conversation with me. And I'm always willing to have a conversation if you can catch me. But don't pretend to know what my thinking is. I do want to end on a positive note. I wasn't there, but I saw some pictures and had a couple of grandsons that were there, and it sounded like a mob. So thanks everyone, and kudos to the folks, leadership that put it on at the trick or.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Bobby.
I've got several things. To start with, I'd like to express my appreciation to the county commissioners for the annex opening we had last Friday. I'd like to thank the courthouse committee. It was John Irwin, who with his volunteers, I don't know how many hundreds, maybe thousands of bulbs that he's planted. But we won't see that until, I hope, next spring, maybe next summer. But that was part of it. And that was a part that won't be noticed for a little while. I'd like to thank David Spicer and his maintenance crew, who did an outstanding job getting everything ready. Michael Carter was part of that committee. I'd like to thank him personally, along with Drew. Susie Gamble was also part of that committee. And anybody that got to attend, it was, I think it was well represented for Judge Doughton. It was representative of the county. The people were proud of what we have. I'd like to thank the town of Sparta for providing the traffic control. Bob Lane and his crew did an outstanding job. The VFW helped with seating, with the chairs for the outdoor part of it. I'd like to thank them for doing that. For possibly the next agenda or one after that or for our meeting, I would like to get back on the DOT and the speed limit for the change on 221 and 93. And I think we need to, maybe as commissioners, come up with a plan of what we want to do next. Veterans Day will be on November the 11th at Veterans Park at 11 o'clock. And that'll be ramrodded by the VFW, and all the other veteran organizations will be represented there. And I'm sure we'll have to get a hold of David Spicer and his maintenance crew to be sure everything's ship-shape. There again, we'll call on the town to help with the traffic control. I think all the commissioners have expressed their opinion about the Lions Club. I, like John, I spent 15 months in the jungle of Vietnam fighting communists, and I do not appreciate a member of the Lions Club calling me a communist. I don't know this individual. To be quite honest, I don't care to meet him. But like Mark said, don't try to put yourself in my mind. I know what I had to do when that time came. And for him to call me and any other serviceman a communist is disrespecting all veterans, whether they fought in World War I, World War II, any conflict. Now that's up to the Lions Club. They need to, that's their business to address this individual. But he sent the email and he claims to be a member of the Lions Club. So as far as I'm concerned, he was speaking for the Lions Club. Now, just before I came to the meeting today, I had 2 phone calls about why we're taking the Lions Club away from the members. I have a good idea who's putting this false information out there. I don't know how they dream up this stuff, but my intentions are not to take the Lions Club away from those members. And I think that I've been told there's been conversation with some of the Lions Club members, and I'm hoping that agreement will be worked out, and the quicker the better, because I'm sick and tired of hearing this day in and day out. I go to church, I go to the grocery store, and these people that are asking questions about the Lions Club, most of them, I guess, are getting misinformation from somebody. This is something that's drug on too long, and I have no intention, let me make that very clear, of taking anything from the Lions Club. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm finished.
Thank you, Bobby. I know how you felt a while ago early on in this meeting. All's been said already, so I ain't gonna have much to say other than to echo the same thing about the Lions Club. I'd met with a couple of those members, and everything was good and is good, and they will keep doing business as usual up there. That's our goal and what we want to see happen. Trunk or treat. That was a fun night last night. Thank Bobby and Michelle for participating in that with us, and I don't know how many kids, but they was boatloads of kids coming up and down the street. And that's about all I have. Take in Veterans Day on 11/11 down at the park at 11 o'clock. With that being said, anybody have anything else? Heather, Michael, Drew?
What about congratulating?
Congratulating our county manager, Michael Carter. He received from the High Country Council of Government the County Manager of the Year Award last Wednesday. We just want to congratulate him. It says volumes. That came out of 9 counties, 17 municipalities is in our section. So congratulations, sir. Well deserved. The motion second. All in favor?
Is that King Carter?
King Carter.